Welcome back to part 3 of my full in-depth Wicked the movie analysis with a scene-by-scene breakdown. Let's get into it. Okay, so we just left the Ozdust ballroom and had Fiyero looking up at the two women, and it's such a beautiful visual. And we see this amazing arc from Glinda and Elphaba when we're back in the dorm after the Ozdust. We see them both like unmask in a way. They're not pretending anymore. It feels very natural. And this whole scene with like, tell me a secret, da-da-da-da, it's so you and your freshman dorm. Like, it's so you and your freshman roommate that one night where you like are like, okay, here's my lore, here's yours. It's so that, again, so relatable, so recognizable, even though it's like otherworldly. I said, popular gives Oscariana, which it totally does. I love when she takes the red ruby slippers out and clicks them 3 times. Another homage to The Wizard of Oz. Click your heels 3 times to go home. I love the Evita reference. When she says dictator or whatever that line is, don't make me laugh, they were popular. That Evita is so good. This whole scene is gorgeous and it is Ariana's world and we're living in it. And then Ariana takes the flower that Fiyero put in her hair out of her hair and puts it in Elphaba's hair, which is not in the musical. And I don't know if I'm reading too far into it, but I feel as though when I watch this, and this is a big spoiler for part 2, but if you've seen the musical, you know, I think Glinda knows all along that Elphaba and Fiyero are meant to be together. I think she actually wants them to be together. I think she thinks she wants Fiyero for herself, but she actually doesn't know what she wants. And I think that's a very big theme with Glinda throughout the entire thing. And I think it's really beautiful, that symbolism, if it was intentional, that she takes the flower out of her hair that Fiyero put in her hair and she puts it in Elphaba's hair. It's just so good. This is the first moment that anybody calls Elphaba beautiful throughout the entire film, but we can guess throughout her entire life. And in the same way, there's a moment in part 2 where Elphaba says, Glinda, you are smart, or it might be part 1. But Elphaba is the first person that tells Glinda she's smart, and Glinda is the first person to tell Elphaba she's beautiful. And even if it isn't said, they're each other's first person that feels that way about the other. They see each other in a way that other people don't see them as individuals. And that's because they're putting on this act to go out into the world, pretending to be a certain way because of their insecurities. And it's so beautiful how Glinda has her face pressed up against Elphaba's and she says that, and then Cynthia just does such a good job with all the emotional nuance and is so beautiful in that moment. And then of course we love the option up, we love the additional la 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 la's, and if you don't think Ariana Grande is a triple threat by now, I don't know what you're doing. I wrote clandestinely isn't a word that stupid bitches use. Like, Glinda has never been stupid. I love when we go to scene 9, which is Elphaba and Fiyero, and she's doing toss toss, and he says, you've been Glindified. I love how flirty they are throughout the entire thing. Like, they flirt the whole time, which is just a really nice, like, layer of additional color that I love. Also, there's an ad lib while Fiyero, Elphaba, and Glinda are coming into the classroom where Elphaba says he doesn't have upper front teeth, like talking about Dr. Dillamond. It's so funny. I just noticed it on this watch around. Every detail, all of the costumes, like the cage they bring in with the lion, and, you know, the velvet thing, and it says Oz. It's so intentional. Every detail is intentional. Love the poppy moment here when she makes everybody fall asleep with the poppies. Gorgeous. Really curious to see how Dr. Dillamond's glasses that Elphaba picked up off the ground and put in her pocket are going to come back in part 2. I just think this whole scene rocks. From the minute that Fiyero has this immediate impulse to go save that lion, again, he's also putting on an act. They're all putting on acts because of their insecurities. And we really see him kind of mask off, for lack of a better phrase. In this scene, I love the bikes. He has no act with her. He drops the fucking act with her. And the tension is so there. And then I'm Not That Girl is giving me the close-up, nothing, no movement, straight to camera that I wanted from Wizard and I. And so it makes me feel good that we get that, because Cynthia, again, her emotional facial acting is so fucking impressive. You can feel every single note she sings. If she wasn't singing words, you would still know what she was saying. It's unbelievable. And I love that we have I'm Not That Girl in this such a simple way. Love that. Oh, and the full blackout after I'm Not That Girl is wild. It's a full blackout and it's like 2 seconds long. And everybody knows doing a full blackout in theater, like fully blacking out, whether you're like doing a full blackout on stage, doing a full blackout on film, it has to be so intentional. And that full blackout moment is like, it puts this perfect pause on whatever it is that's happening between Fiyero and Elphaba and says, we're gonna do something else right now. It's so nice. I love how colloquial like the ad libs are when the little letter from The Wizard of Oz is coming down and Ariana goes, I cannot. It's like so colloquial, like, oh my God, I can't. But it's like still so Oz. I love how recognizable they made Oz for us. It's so tangible, and I love that. It's like approachable. When Madame Morrible says mustn't let you get wet is so beautiful. And I realized, like, it's misinformation, right? That, like, Elphaba will die if she gets wet. We find out that it's misinformation. Like, it's just a rumor made up. Add it to the list. But I love that it's, like, initially being perpetuated by Madame Morrible. Loki mustn't let you get wet. And there's a long break before she says, not when you're on the brink of such greatness, or whatever she says. The train, bitch. The train. I fucking love the train. I love he's thinking when Glinda says that about Fiyero, because it's so Scarecrow coded. You know, all of this like allusion to him being stupid and being brainless and etc. is so Scarecrow coded. I love that he has the poppy on his lapel. I love that he's gonna give Elphaba the poppy. Again, the flower imagery. We had the flower imagery of Glinda giving Elphaba the flower that Fiyero put in her hair. Now we have the poppies, and we've, you know, obviously Elphaba and Fiyero had a moment with poppies, and we just see Glinda dying for external validation. She has no idea how to internally validate herself. She doesn't know who she is, what she wants. She's so unsure of herself. The only person that makes her feel really sure of herself is Elphaba, and it's so interesting. And then you hear the little I'm not that girl scoring while Fiyero is handing her the poppy, and it's so... And then there's No One Mourns the Wicked scoring behind it when Elphaba's like, come with me to Glinda, and she jumps on the train. Crazy. And you see that Loki Bach is a little heartless. Tin Man, when he's like looking at Glinda and like he's so in love with her, and Nessa knows, and he's leading Nessa on. Okay, so we're pulling up to the Emerald City, and it is so New York to me. Like, if you've never been to New York City before and you pull up to Grand Central Station, like, sure, it's not as like glamorous as the Emerald City, but it feels like that. It literally feels like that. It's so amazing. This is such a good scene. Oh my God, the Emerald City is so, it juxtaposes like Shiz University and Munchkinland and like all of the other locations around Oz that we've seen so far so brilliantly. It's big city living. It's like liberal and diverse and just energized. It's so beautiful. I love it. And I love the little nail salon that they go to. You guys don't understand how hard it's been, because I saw the movie in October, early October, and I have not said a single fucking peep about the cameos. And I like low-key knew that we were getting cameos, but I was gagged. Like the first time we saw it, like, oh my God, it was so much fun because I was in a room with 15 people, like huge fans. So everybody knew that that was Idina and Kristen, and everyone screamed. I love the whole Tony rivalry bit that they do, because if you guys don't know this, historically, Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, like they were not best friends. They did not have the Ariana Cynthia thing going. They're not a sisterhood. Like Kristen Chenoweth has a whole book where she writes about how difficult it is to work with Idina. Like they think each other's are like divas. They like kind of have like a frenemy rivalry, like sort of similar to Elphaba Glinda in the beginning of the movie and of the show. And so it is really funny that they competed against each other at the Tony Awards, and Idina Menzel ended up winning, but it's really funny that they play into the rivalry bit throughout that whole little scene with like Kristen's thingy goes out and then she like taps Idina's, and then she like goes really high, so Idina goes, ah. It's so perfect. And they are insane for the bit where Idina walks up to Cynthia and Kristen walks up to Ariana, and they like give a little, you know, tap, and she fixes her hat. Insane, gorgeous, love it. And then we have the Steven Schwartz cameo, which the wizard will see you now. Like, come on. And then there's fireworks. Yeah, everything. This is the first time we see Chistery, which in the musical we see him far, far more in the beginning, and I really like that. Jeff plays the wizard so casual, so lazy, and so untalented, and it's iconic. He's putting on a facade and a show and an act for every single person in Oz, but who he actually is untalented, lazy, and charismatic. He's like a white man who lies. It's just who he is. When Ariana goes, a man, so funny. When he calls Ariana Belinda after she'd been calling Bach Bick, taste of her own medicine, loved that. The Yellow Brick Road bit, eats. She's green is such a beautiful moment when she has the little figurine. She decides she doesn't want to be degrenified. And this is this big shift we see from her. She wants to stand up for what's right. The imagery of him like looming over the city is so crazy. It's so like political figurehead who's manipulating to you and lying to you. It's crazy. The whole Grimmery moment is gorgeous, and I love the little language that they have going on. I think it's hilarious. Hilarious when Madame Morrible goes, it's just the transition, dearie, and Ariana goes, it's just the transition. Like, this bitch wants to be included so fucking badly. Like, she's never not been included in her life, and now she's feeling like what that feels like.